She ran back to the door, wondering if I was leaving again.
The big brown dog is worried. You can't see her because she's underneath the defense and repair node title. So tonight we're going to talk about defense and repair, and I have figured a workaround the not being able to do all the fancy stuff. Hey Brutus, sit down.
Sit down, girl.
So we're going to work on or off of a set of slides, and I'm going to blow that up and bring this up, and just, everybody's always learning. And when I first started doing functional medicine, as you can see with this patient, you see this defense and repair node is very high on their questionnaire. And I would start to address this, and that needs to be addressed. But is it a primary node? And the more I do this, and the more I talk to other functional medicine doctors, and the more I get into it, I see that this is a primary node, and this is a primary node. This is a primary node, and this can be. It just depends on if somebody has toxins and are really slow detoxifiers. But this assimilation node drives everything. And you can start to see this person's symptoms. How they overlap. And since we're looking at defense and repair, which is your immune response. So think about this as those people who have had like COVID. When we talk about COVID and the COVID response, people who do not have this node under, the analogy is a bouncer. If you own a place and you hire a bouncer, the bouncer is the immune system. If there's a bad actor in the place, you want the bouncer to stand up. You want him to go grab whoever he needs to grab, and then you need to have him throw him out, and then you want him to go sit back down. But if the immune system isn't working that way, and it doesn't turn itself off, so it doesn't modulate itself, then all of a sudden you have what we had during the pandemic, which is a lot of people who had comorbidities, unfortunately passing away. I mean, we had friends and family pass away as well. And that's because this node here doesn't regulate itself. So it's not able to turn off. And we'll go over some of the key nutrients and ways to modulate this naturally on down a few slides down. We only have a few slides to go through here, but you can start to see how when we do our questionnaire with people, we automatically have their symptoms starting to go into the nodes that they correlate with. So this person has bleeding gums, and bleeding gums is also an issue with structural node. Tooth pain, these two overlap with tooth pain. The assimilation node also overlaps with tooth pain. So you can see how these things all start to interrelate, and that's very important. But like I said, if you ask Jess, what's more important, defense and repair or immune, and how does the immune compare to like structural, or how does it affect it? What's been your experience with using the bioidenticals in your structural, your cell health in particular?
Oh, it jumped crazy high compared to what it's been.
So her cell health, it's the biggest single jump with getting her hormones in. Once we got the hormones in, she jumped an entire point, and usually we only jump a tenth of a point. And so that was amazing to me. That was on par with what I see people do with exercise who don't exercise. So then we're going to start to look at, if you remember looking at the previous slide, look at this altered intestinal permeability. This is how things trigger. So what do we start to think if somebody has a bunch of food allergies, a bunch of food sensitivity?
Leaky gut.
Leaky gut. So this altered intestinal permeability starts to give you lots of food allergies, lots of sensitivities, and lots of intolerances. And I would almost think more about sensitivity and intolerance than I would actual allergies. You got to be really careful, especially when speaking to medical doctors about allergies. In my realm, it's more of a sensitivity and an intolerance. But once you start this problem here, then you get malnutrition. And then you have an increased uptake of toxins and lipopolysaccharides. And if you go to the National Institutes of Health website and you start to look up lipopolysaccharides and all the diseases that they correlate with, it's every one of the diseases that they correlate with. And then this is one of the 3 things that you have to develop an autoimmune disease. So if you have altered intestinal permeability, if we can quell that, if we can get you on something to bring the mucosa back, and we can get you to avoid the foods that you're sensitive to, and we can allow that gut time to heal, then we can halt a lot of these problems. And then we can prevent the elevated toxic burden and the antigenic burden, then the immune activation, and then, of course, systemic disease. So you can see how this flows together. When we look about the mechanisms of immune and non-immune mediated reactions to food, so this is all part of the immune system. If you eat something that you're sensitive to, the body doesn't tell the difference between inflammation and sensitivity or infection. It really can't tell the difference between hyperinsulinemia and inflammation. So in Jessica's professional world, and we look at IgE mediated reactions, you have the immediate phase. And how'd you guys take care of that?
Epinephrine.
The EpiPen. And then late phase reactions. I mean, this isn't my world. What would they be talking about with a late phase reaction? Would that be somebody having difficulty breathing,
say like
breathers and stuff, or?
No, I would think an immediate response would be the one that would need like medical. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I mean, is it like a rash or something that's not life threatening?
I would say that would be the late phase.
Treated with like Benadryl or,
Gotcha. So yeah, that's what I would say. And then the other immune reactions, these are those late phase reactions. When you've heard me talk about, you can eat something that you're sensitive to, and that can take up to 3 days to manifest itself. That's that IgG mediated response. And then you can have, if you keep eating it and keep eating it and keep eating it, the T killer cells are going to be activated, and eventually you're going to develop memory B cells. So you really don't want to go down this alley, because it takes a long time to uneducate the immune system. Think about it. If you are allergic to bee stings, how long does it take for you to not be allergic to bee stings? Well, never really, because you really don't want to test that theory, because you really don't want a life-threatening disease.
You'd have to go through years of like challenging the.
We don't do what they call slit therapy, and that's sublingual immuno challenge. We don't do that, but we can get you in contact with people who do. But to re-educate the immune system, that's not our cup of tea. We want to get people to where their gut is healed up, their immune system downregulates, their hormones are good, their energy is good. And we want those things to happen for people through using sleep and food or nutrition and movement and stress, de-stressing, and good community. And so then You know, we look at people who have issues with lactose. These all cause problems in the immune system. Do you have anything you want to add there?
Mm-mm.
So how do we start to modulate the immune system? Here's my favorite family, the omega-3s. And if you look at alpha linoleic acid, what is alpha linoleic acid good for? Well, if you have diabetic neuropathy, I guarantee anybody that you go to, like me, who's going to help you repair that diabetic neuropathy, they're going to be using alpha linoleic acid, or ALA. And then you can see the conversions. This delta 6 desaturase, this is inhibited by age and alcohol. So the older we get, the harder it is for us to take ALA through the pathway to get down to EPA. And that's why I supplement people with EPA and DHA. Because once you get down here, less inflammatory eicosanoids. For those of you who have done things like the zone diet and everything else, Dr. Barry Sears talks about these eicosanoids from EPA. The eicosanoids are the things that downregulate the immune system and allow it to modulate. These are anti-inflammatory, and you can get them directly from cold water fish, wild game, and eggs. Your docopentanoic acid, DPA, is your intermediate step from EPA to DHA. But when you see this and you're dropping down through there, notice that EPA inhibits delta 5 desaturase, which is upregulated by insulin. So if you have high insulin, you're taking this linolenic acid and you are going to arachidonic acid easier. EPA stops this from happening. So you lower arachidonic acid, which has been associated with arthritis, cardiovascular disease, all kinds of things. But you need it. It is considered conditionally essential because for your immune system, this is the thing that goes out and attacks what is not good for you. So a little arachidonic acid is good. And then you get down to DHA, and DHA, once again, you can think of EPA as your peripheral nervous system fats and DHA as your central nervous system fats, but EPA gets in there as well. And once again, we have these less inflammatory eicosanoids. And what they're actually not showing you here is there's another little branch off of here, which are called resolvins. And those resolvins also downregulate an overactive immune system. So that's why the omega-3 family is very important. Your vitamin D is very important. Let's hold on. I want to jump. We'll come back to that. So when you have problems in that assimilation node and you're not getting the nutrients you need, so you have a baseline nutritional deficiency, and this is where we come in with using her IVs. What happens is you have oxidative stress. You don't have your antioxidants. You cannot keep things under control. And so look at this, facilitated viral replication. What could that have implications in? I'm looking at you, kid.
Viral replication?
Yeah.
What's your question?
I'm being coy about the virus.
Oh, I was going to say that I thought, okay.
COVID-19 and all that crap. So you're the older you get, think shingles, think COVID-19, think of herpes virus and cold sores. This is allowed to happen, and so you have increased susceptibility and increased frequency, severity, and duration of infection. And that's what we see happens to people. They get this increased severity, duration of infections. You start getting what you called your frequent flyers in the hospital, right? Mm-hmm. And then you go on cases or you go on antibiotics, and that starts to really hammer your microbiome. If you look at impaired immune function, once again, if it's overactive, you're going to attack yourself and you're going to have an autoimmune issue. If it's underactive, you're going to have increased susceptibility to infections. And then if your mucosal defenses are impaired, think the gut. That makes the gut worse. And so you just really cannot, you just can't think of one thing. It's getting the dance down to address everything all at once, all the time. And so it is truly a dance. So how do you start to take care of it? Let's roll back up here. So things with anti-inflammatory properties. Did I go back far enough? Yes. Omega-3s first, but your botanicals and phytonutrients. So your white willow bark. This is the precursor to aspirin. Licorice root, if you have high blood pressure, be careful with this. Boswellia, you can think of, oh goodness, what's the plant for Boswellia? That one I'm blanking on right now. Bromelain. You actually get bromelain from the stem of the pineapple. Chinese skullcap, of course, turmeric, ginger, cayenne, aloe vera, and green tea. These all have anti-inflammatory properties. Pay attention to these, especially turmeric.
Boswellia is the frankincense.
Ah, okay. Oh, and that's right in with your essential oils. She's doing a lot of modulation of stress with essential oils, and it's very nice. And so if we start to look at the COX, when you think of COX, remember or think about arthritis and things like that. Several years ago, the COX modulators, what was the one that was causing all the heart issues? It was the $1 million pill.
Wasn't it Celebrex?
Celebrex, yes. So Celebrex was a COX inhibitor. They called it super aspirin. And it gave people heart attacks. And they knew it gave people heart attacks. But look at this. Bromelain, capsaicin, turmeric, curcuminoids. So from the prior list, we have curcuminoids, bromelain again, and green tea catechins. So, white willow bark or willow bark. So once again, you're looking at these things that, you know what, how hard is it to throw a little turmeric in your coffee, in your smoothie, in your salad, in your food? How hard is it to throw ginger in there? If you're going to make a smoothie, make up a bunch of green tea and use that as your base. These are all things we have flyers for, we teach you to do, because it's all basic, just trying to help your immune system. And once again, NF kappa B. So you're looking at the things that start to do the natural killer cells. So willow bark, once again, turmeric, black tea, and green tea. Brassica vegetables. That's why you hear us talk a lot about, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and stuff like that. Pomegranate. I love that.
Most of those are anti-inflammatories.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so a lot of your foods have multimodal effects. That's why it's like sugar. And we talk about, high fructose corn syrup, they say is a natural sugar and you can eat this stuff and it's okay for you. And you can take a little hit from high fructose corn syrup. But when high fructose corn syrup is in everything, then you get it, and it's not a small dose, it's a large dose. And that's the way we want to be with food. You want to layer these foods in there. You want to have green tea with your turmeric and your ginger and garlic and onions, because that's just layering those good effects on you. And look at vitamin A. Remember that slide before that said if you have nutritional deficiencies, vitamin A, maintain the integrity of all mucosal surfaces. So if you're like me and you have a SNP in the BCOM genetics, I have a problem getting vitamin A. So I throw lots of stuff in my smoothie that has vitamin A. Vitamin D stimulates immature, naive immune cells. It is a huge immune response modulator. You could also call it hormone D. Oral glutamate is fuel for cells for the immune system. Probiotics, supplements, it helps natural killer cell activities, and glutathione enhancers. Glutathione is your own natural, and it's your largest antioxidant. And what you can't see here is you see this is NAC, N-acetylcysteine. I want you to go online, go to Amazon, and look up NAC. See if you can even find it, because they're trying to take it off the market. And it has been something that I've used and other functional medicine doctors have used, because all the side effects are positive, and they're taking it off the market. They want to make it an actual prescription. And so don't let them do it. And botanicals, large. This is actually a prebiotic and helps feed the bugs in your gut, and it's wonderful. Helps with modulation of NK cell, natural killer cell activity. Ginger is anti-inflammatory. Cat's claw, astragalus, andrographis. Actually, that one, andrographis, is one of those things that you can take that if you are low, it helps bring the body up, and if it is high, it helps bring the body down. Ashwagandha acts the same way. Echinacea is very good. These are just things that are nice to make a tea out of and to cook with and things of that nature, so that you're getting all the enhancements that you need for the body. I think, I mean, you're seeing these things. They're great things to cook with. They're ways to modulate the immune system. But if your immune system is acting up, you've got to get down to the reason, to the root cause of why that's happening. And a lot of times, the root cause isn't just one node of the matrix. The root cause is a combination of nodes, and figuring out how to treat those. It's very satisfying as a practitioner trying to get that figured out. And once you get that figured out, people just, it's like a breakthrough, and it's wonderful. I've talked a lot again. Got a hair right there. Do you have anything to add?
Mm-mm.
Well, let's bring that down. And let's get rid of the slides and bring us back up. So, things that we have going on. We have a drawing for an IV.
Raffle, $5 raffle, get you in one chance at your choice of an IV with glutathione or amino acids.
We are going to, actually, we have done enough of the Heidelbergs that the price is being reduced on those. Hi, Kath. Kath joined in. The price is reduced on those. So what were we doing for our patients?
They were $550. We're going to do them for $250. We also have the clinic's birthday coming up on the 15th, so we're doing $27 adjustments and refreshments. And we'll also be drawing for the IV that day.
And if you have any questions, you can contact us. You can use the email drmiller@integratedhealthofIndiana.com and ask a question. We can do a 20-minute consult via Zoom and start to see how we can help you take control of your own health and start to heal from the inside out. Have a good evening. And get the mouse over there.